I am going into double game week 33 without a chip. It is clear that I am in big trouble, but hopefully I can salvage something. Welcome back to another video. Make sure you like and subscribe, and let's get right into it. So in game week 32, I thought I was headed for a huge red arrow. I was going into the Sunday 4:30 kickoff on a very small green arrow, and I had to survive João Pedro, Cole Palmer, Antoine Semenyo, with only 50% owned Nico O'Reilly to help me. And in general, that wasn't great. You know, half the game owns O'Reilly. All the other players that are a huge threat to me, multiple people own, they're going to be getting those points that I'm not getting. Somehow, the impossible miracle happened. The only way I was keeping a green arrow is if O'Reilly got a big haul and all of the others blanked. Somehow, that actually happened. You know, I was sure I was going to be on a red arrow, but I really wanted a green arrow going into game week 33 because of how bad my team's looking. But this helped me out. This gave me some hope, some optimism. Even though I know my next game week isn't going to be great, it gives me hope that I can still hold a top 5k finish by the time game week 38 comes around. Hopefully I'm not asking for too much. Verbruggen did great. It's kind of frustrating that he only did well as soon as everybody started to own Brighton defenders, so that's kind of annoying. Ekitike, I was quite hopeful for him. Just didn't end up playing, and then he got injured in the midweek, but I was going to sell him anyway. Another huge thanks to Thiago. He's like Nico O'Reilly in the sense he has 50% effective ownership at my rank. Half the people own him, half the people don't. His ownership was a lot higher, but on Wildcard, people transferred him out, and rightfully so. That was the right move, but they definitely took a loss this game week because the Thiago 13-pointer was huge for me, key for getting a green arrow. So thank you very much, Thiago. Thank you very much, O'Reilly. Man, I guess Verbruggen too. Into my actual team now. I will say I'm recording this before Arsenal have played in the midweek on a Wednesday evening. Hopefully my Arsenal players don't get injured. Either way, I'm selling Rice anyway, but hopefully Gabriel doesn't get injured because I'm going to record this video as if he's not injured and he's completely fine. Hopefully it stays that way, but it's always like when I record a video before a game gets played, the player I'm talking about goes ahead and gets injured. Onto the actual team itself though, we have a few double game week players. Like the team's not awful, but compared to people who are using chips, the team is kind of awful. Compared to the average player who stopped playing 3 months ago, I'm sure my team is just as good as theirs, but those guys aren't really a threat to me. I have 3 free transfers, and for reasons I can't explain too much right now, I'm going to get into it when I talk about the future plans towards the end of the video. If I can somehow only use 2 transfers, which I'm going to do, I can then go into a wild card in game week 34 to a bench boost in game week 36, double game week 36 without taking a hit, and that's the goal. If I make 3 free transfers this game week, then it's going to be harder for me to do that without taking a -4. First off, we have O'Reilly. Is he going to be back? Obviously, I'm going to wait for more news on Friday. If it turns out like he might be back for the Arsenal game, then I'm definitely going to keep him because it means he will be back for the Burnley game. If he's going to be out for both games, it's fine. I've got Gabriel on the bench, so it's not the end of the world, but I would much rather have O'Reilly away to Burnley. That's the main reason you want him for this double game week. Home to Arsenal is never going to be an easy game anyway. Esteve in the team, I mean, it's fine. Like, he will get defcons. He will get points for minutes. The issue is if he concedes 6 goals to Man City, it kind of nullifies all those little, you know, fodder points. So hopefully, I say hopefully Man City don't run wild. Hopefully they do. I'm going to own 3 City players. So, you know, if Esteve wants to get points, fine. Just don't come at the expense of all my other players getting points, you know. Forgot to mention the goalkeeper. Verbruggen, very popular, very high owned, playing against 2 teams on bad form. Very happy to own him. We then have the only defender in my team who's not got a double game week, which is Van den Berg. The guy's been good for defcons. He's been a good threat in the box. He's got a good fixture, meaning an okay chance for a clean sheet. So I'm happy to have him in this team. He may even outscore some of the double game week players. I doubt it, but he could. And that's the main thing. There's always hope. Dango Iwatara. Not been great recently, but the underlying data is not bad. He's got a good fixture. He's a good attacker in general, you know, across the entire season. He's been all right. So hopefully he can get me some points this game week. He did get rotated a couple game weeks ago, like before the huge international break. I don't think that's a sign of things to come. I think he's going to be okay. But compared to other double game week midfielders, he is not sensational. Bruno Fernandes is one player I'm going to be quite happy to see less people own. There's going to be loads of people without Bruno Fernandes who are planning for the double game week, whether it's a bench boost or a free hit. And to be honest, I hope they go without Bruno Fernandes. This guy is like, blanking is allergic to him right now. At this point in time, it's almost a guaranteed return whenever he plays a game of football, which is great seeing people transfer him out for a double game week player. The issue is double game week players are also very good. They have 2 chances, they have 2 games to actually get a return. And that's more likely than a player who's only playing 1 game. unless that player is Bruno Fernandes. We'll see how it plays out. I personally don't think many people should be going without Bruno unless they're on free hit. I think if you're on wildcard and bench boost, Bruno is still a pretty good player to bench boost. You know, away to Chelsea, sure, it's a red fixture, but Chelsea aren't on good form. We then have the first player to be transferred away. We have Declan Rice. This one's fairly obvious. He's playing away to Man City, and I don't care about the fixtures after because I can just wildcard him back in. Who do I want to sell Rice for? Well, I think it's fairly obvious. You don't need to hazard a guess. You know who I'm going to bring in. It is Antoine Semenyo. He blanked last game week, whereas Shirky did quite well. Am I going to pick Shirky over Semenyo? I could. Don't get me wrong, I could, but I'd rather do well. And that's not to say Shirky's bad. Like, Shirky's a good FPL asset, but I'd just play it safe, right? I'd rather just play it safe. Semenyo has been so good since joining Man City. He's been so reliable for minutes. Shirky's been a bit up and down since being at Man City. Still a good player to own, but I'd much rather have Semenyo to help me see out the rest of the season. I think he'll start every game, and I think he'll be consistent in every game, getting big chances now and then. And he's very good at converting them, so it's kind of a no-brainer to go Semenyo over Shirky. But if you guys are one of those people that like to go differential, Shirky is also a good City midfielder. We then have Gordon to finish off this midfield. Gordon home to Bournemouth is huge. The Bournemouth defence is not good. Their underlying data is poor. But then again, Newcastle, they're such an up and down team. Like, you don't know what you're going to get with them. Gordon has been great. He's on penalties. His underlying data is good. And he has a good fixture, offensively speaking. So hopefully he can pick up some points for me. Since a lot of people use their wildcard around my rank, his ownership has gone down quite a bit, meaning his points are worth a lot to me. In fact, every single Gameweek player in this team is going to be low ownership at my rank. Every return counts, and every blank from a double Gameweek player counts too. I need everything to go right if I want this Gameweek to be, you know, at least a small red arrow on a good day, right? Best case scenario, I get a small red arrow. Worst case, I go outside the top 10, top 20k. I don't know how bad it's going to get, but I hope it's not too bad. I need these single game week players to pull through. In the front three, I'm making another transfer. I'm selling Ekatike because he's injured, and there's many options I could go for, guys. We've got Danny Welbeck. We've got João Pedro, but if you've been watching my last few videos, you will know I'm a Dominic Calvert-Lewin man. Now, I said in my last video, he was going to get big chances. He was going to generate expected goals. Playing away to Man United was an exclusion, you know, because it's a tough fixture. Man United are fairly strong defensively. I didn't think he was going to get many chances. He generated 1.2 XG and had 3 big chances, yet scored none, which actually worries me. I saw his data a couple of weeks ago before I recommended him, and I thought, you know what, the data is good. He's not scoring the chances, but how long can it be before he does? You know, I thought he would eventually start converting them. Now I'm a bit worried because he's just had 3 big chances and not scored a single one. There's no point him getting the big chances if he's not going to score them. But home to Wolves and away to Bournemouth is the best double out of any forward. João Pedro and Chelsea look like they're gradually falling off. Welbeck, Welbeck was very similar to Calvert-Lewin last game week. He had a couple of big chances, generated over 1 expected goal, which is quite a lot, some of the highest in that game week. And he didn't score either. Like, if you have a couple bad games as a Brighton attacker, you're just on the bench. Like, I don't know why Herzler does it, but 2 bad games and you're gone. It's like you're bench warming again. Whereas for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I don't think there's any reason for him to be benched for anyone. Like, part of what is so good about him is how he gets the chances. Scoring them would be nice, but not every striker can get into the good positions like him. So yeah, Calvert-Lewin, I don't think he's a rotation risk, and that is why I'm going to go Ekatike to Calvert-Lewin. I'm going to take the risk. It would be safer to go João Pedro, but I don't like effective ownership making decisions for me. I'd rather go with what I think is right. And even though he's been a bit, you know, of a squander boy recently, squandering all his chances, I believe Calvert-Lewin is the best forward for me to bring in. Then we're keeping the other 2 that are already here. Thiago home to Fulham, another single game week player that's going to be low owned that I really need to do well. He is hopefully going to be my secret weapon going into this game week. Hopefully he gets another brace. Who knows? He's pushing for the golden boot, so the motivation's there. I just need him to outscore the double game week plays, basically, which is, it's not likely, like I've said before, but it could happen. With Haaland, I've currently got the armband on him, but it's not a guarantee. Like, I think it's fairly obvious to go Captain Haaland. I think I will, and I think loads of other people will, but there's other options too. Haaland's been quite bad recently. You could go to Semenyo. You could even go to O'Reilly if he's back and he's fit to start, but then again, he probably won't be. For me, there's not many other options. Like, I could go Calvert-Lewin. I wouldn't go for any of the single game week players. If you guys are on free hit or bench boost, there's players here that you own that I don't. Like, even João Pedro and Welbeck are good options, even though they're not in my team and I chose Calvert-Lewin over them. They're still both valid captaincy options. So many players you can go for. But at the end of the day, going without Haaland is too risky because if he does well, you are screwed. I'm going to go with Haaland for now. I'm going to post my team on the deadline. Hopefully before the deadline. I forgot last week. I do apologise. I don't think I'll captain anyone else, but if I do, you will see it on there. So follow me on Twitter. I'll do it as a post on YouTube as well. But I don't think anything will change from this. What you see now, 2 of 3 free transfers used, Haaland captain. This is probably how I'm lining up for double game week 33. Could be better, but it also could be worse. So yeah, looking at the odds charts here, the double game week teams are absolutely running the show, especially Manchester City. Now, I think a lot of these predicted goals for Man City come from that Burnley game. Like, Arsenal haven't been on great form. Yeah, they haven't. We know that. But generally speaking, their defence is the best in the league. Probably the best in Europe. You can't say that for sure. But they're so sound defensively. The expected clean sheets are so damn high. So much higher than any other team in the league. So to assume Man City will score high in that game, I wouldn't say it's delusional because it could happen. But I would say it's very wishful thinking. I think the main fixture you need to own those Man City players for is the Burnley game. Chelsea in second. I mean, yeah, like fair enough. Chelsea are better than all the other double game week teams, but they're not on the best form right now. Like the only player I see actually being reliable and doing well is Pedro. Like he could win a penalty for Parma. He's been doing that a lot. He's finding himself in really good chances. I remember that away to Aston Villa game. He didn't even need to be good at finishing. He just found himself in such good positions every single time Chelsea were on the attack and he scored 19 points. Talking about the top 2 defensively, obviously Man City are here. Now this one with Man City, because Arsenal was such a defensive team, you could see them keeping 2 clean sheets here, which is why I would recommend going for a City defender because the chance for 2 clean sheets I think is actually quite high and the odds agree with me. Leeds being second is expected purely because they play home to Wolves. I don't think anyone's expecting a clean sheet for Leeds away to Bournemouth. You know, if you are, you're kind of silly. It could happen, like it's not impossible, but Bournemouth, offensively speaking, they're so good. Defensively, they're kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum. Aston Villa being in the top 4 here is quite funny. And even Forest, you know, they both have a 40% chance of a clean sheet because of how easy their fixtures are. Higher than Chelsea and Bournemouth, who both have a double. Now, I can't say I fully agree with this, right? The Aston Villa defence is all right. The home defence is this good. The away defence is off-screen bad. Like, it's not good at all. So I do understand why Aston Villa are at a 40% chance of keeping a clean sheet. But Forest, I don't really get. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong. On paper, home to Burnley is easier than home to Sunderland. It is. That's obvious. But looking at the attacks and the XG generated and the overperformance of expected goals, they're very even. But the Forest defence is a lot worse, which would make you think Forest have a lower chance of keeping a clean sheet. But what do I know? I'm just an FPL YouTuber. These guys probably know more than me, but that is just my interpretation. I also want to talk about Brighton, probably the last relevant team on this graph. Brighton recently have changed the way they play. Whether it's on purpose or not, I don't know. They used to be decent defensively, decent attacking as well. Looking at the underlying data in the last 8 game weeks, they are a top 3 defense in the league. In terms of attack, they're worse. They're in the bottom half of the table. They're not that good. So they've changed the way they play a bit. And backing a Brighton defender is probably better than backing a Brighton attacker. I made a free hit video a little while ago, and a lot of people were saying in the comments they've gone double Brighton defense. And I fully backed that. In my video, I didn't. But Brighton defensively looks so strong recently, so it's definitely not a bad shout. Whereas going for Brighton attackers, yes, it still works. Welbeck's still good. But in general, they're going to hold it down defensively more than they're going to run right in the attack. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at Brighton players. Anyway, let's talk about my future plans. So now someone left a comment on my last video about talking how I was going to wildcard in game week 35. And they said, why not just wildcard in game week 34? And that was a really good point. What's funny is, when I used to talk about my chip strategy before game week 30 a little while ago, my plan was to wildcard in game week 34. But then a comment left said, oh, why not just wait until game week 35? And at the time, that was right. So I've kind of been going back and forward, just following the comments. But the reason I've gone back to wildcard game week 34 instead of being game week 35 is because Arsenal aren't blanking in game week 34. When someone left that comment, at first I thought, well, I've already ruled that out. But when I ruled it out, I assumed Arsenal were going to knock Southampton out of the FA Cup and then blank in game week 34. But Arsenal lost to Southampton. And there was like a light bulb in my head, you know, a eureka moment. Wildcard 34 is actually perfect for me. With 2 free transfers going into game week 34, I'll obviously use the wildcard. I could show you guys a rough wildcard team now, but I'll say I've not planned too much of it out. I have. Tell you what, give me a second, I'll make it up. Okay, so here's a rough mock-up. I'm going to bring Triple Palace and play a 4-4-2. Like, the team's not great. If I waited until game week 35 to use my wild card, I could have an okay team, but it wouldn't be great. I'd have 10 men or have to take a -4. Whereas here, yes, I do have players like Gordon away to Arsenal. Triple Arsenal defence, home to Newcastle was really strong. Could just guarantee me a green arrow on the spot. Having my Crystal Palace players away to Liverpool isn't great, but they are sort of a bogey team for Liverpool. And we can also bring in some decent players like Wilson, Brobby and Alderete. So it's an alright game week 34. It's not massively better than what my game week 34 would look like, as opposed to not using the wild card, but it is clearly better than it was. Going into game week 35, we're selling Brobby. We don't want him because Calvert-Lewin plays home to Burnley. Absolute no-brainer. We also want to start working towards Brighton players, but we don't need to bring them in right now. It's not urgent. They don't have the best game week 35. The reason why I really want to own them Brighton players is because in game week 36, when I want a bench boost, they play home to Wolves. So I can roll this game week because my team looks quite strong, and I can go into double game week 36 with 2 free transfers. I'll most likely use these 2 free transfers to bring in Van Heck and Welbeck. Once again, I'm sort of rushing through this. It's not an in-depth plan because things could change. Players could get injured, new underlying data could surface, you know. There's a million and one different things that could happen. But what I like about this plan is that it shows me I can have a good wild card, a good end of the season, and a good bench boost in double game week 36 while using my wild card in game week 34 while not taking any hits. Now, the bench I would be boosting is this right here. I've left it, so these are the players that I would bench if I didn't have a bench boost. And I would say that looks quite strong. It's not filled with double game week players, but double Arsenal defence away to West Ham is not bad. I know Arsenal like to bottle it towards the end of the season, but on paper, this is a good fixture for Arsenal, and we could see a clean sheet here. Wilson home to Bournemouth is fantastic, and Gordon away to Forest isn't so bad either. I see this being a worthy bench boost, so I'm very happy. I could go into game week 37 and game week 38, but guys, I'm not going to see out the rest of my season. I'm not going to plan it out step by step. I mean, I have, don't get me wrong, I have, but talking about it in this video is just a waste of time because I know things will change. All you guys need to know is I am in safe hands, these hands to be precise. Hopefully with this plan, I will take a small red arrow in double game week 33, maybe a big red arrow, but game week 34 to game week 38, mainly game week 35 to game week 38, because keeping up with the free hit teams in game week 34 won't be easy. Mainly aiming from game week 35 to game week 38 to have 4 consecutive green arrows. And because I'm using my wild card later than everyone else, that should be doable if I play my cards right. And hopefully, you know, I can end this season in the top 5k, maybe even the top 4k. Anyway, guys, that is it from me. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you think of my plans? Am I doomed? Probably yes, but I could make the ground back up. If you made it this far, you are greatly appreciated, and I will see you all in the next video.